Step into the sun. Wake up. Step into the sun. Step into the sun. Step into the sun. Step into the sun. Step into the sun.
What are you here for today, Hank?
Today I'm here to help Jim and the Unity people work on the Labyrinth, flatten it out, put weed barrier down,
Okay.
do some serious blessing of the land.
Unlimitedness, our eternalness.
He's hanging out behind Kevin. Kevin's the shade.
Because Spirit is moving through us in wonderful ways and allowing us to make a sacred labyrinth that is going to open the hearts and minds of everyone that walks it. So we affirm that this prayer is the reality of what Source wants, and we release it to the universe knowing it is so. And so it is.
And you barely tap it down.
Everyone come and work out. It's so much fun. We are in our winter season, where much of the ground is frozen, covered in ice and snow, and underneath the ground, the seeds and stirrings of renewal of the living of all life. We turn and we face the south. Our super consciousness, our connection to the divine, that which we are, and we claim that as we stand here as conduits between heaven and earth. As we expand, as we take the next steps, ease our fears and teach us to gather in a circle of equals. Remind us that a circle has no beginning and no end.
I asked to be shown the boundary of Mary Faith's physical aura. Here we are, about 10 inches out. Now, would you walk the labyrinth? And when we walk a labyrinth, we walk it all the way in and then all the way back out. So, no. Once again, I'm going to ask to be shown the boundary of Mary Faith's physical aura. So, I ask to be shown the boundary of Mary Faith's physical aura.
Wow.
This will touch. This guy has to create that opening again. So I came to a volunteer meeting a couple of weeks ago on a Sunday, and Cherie and I talked a bit, and she looked and said, "Hey, do you want to be the lead on the Labyrinth? Hank's got his plate really full," and I said yes. And I do feel that the Earth is really taking this opportunity to, whoever's listening, to set these into place. because this time is really asking for us to wake up and recognize the imbalance and do the work.
Somebody heard that L.E.N. Meserve is a world-class designer living in Bend and best friends with the guy that built the tables in the foyer. And so Pamela contacted him, Pamela Matthews, and he said, I'd love to help. And he just offered his services.
Why labyrinths? Why do you build labyrinths?
First time I ever learned about them and helped build one, and have been using them and building them ever since. I just literally fell in love with them. And I've done about 118, 119 now.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so, and that's since 1985, so I've been building them for 35 years.
35 years.
Yeah, and I don't intend to stop building them. And it is a tool, it is a tool to be used. And the reason they've been used for thousands of years is because the tool works. They do a lot of work for the property that they're built on as well. That makes it a more harmonious place. And I like to say we're creating order from chaos. We take this pile of rock and we turn it into a pattern that creates an energy field that benefits everything.
I feel like I can already feel like the energy of this labyrinth. I feel like
it's coming together. Yes, it is.
It's coming together.
The intention starts building it. Yeah. And when we place that last rock, there's a connection. And just magical things start happening. I felt honored that this pattern is one that came to me just from doodling one evening. But so my wife looked at it and she says, oh no, honey, she says, this is the relationship labyrinth. And I says, oh my gosh, you're right. So we called it the relationship labyrinth. I was presenting it about 3 months later at the International Labyrinth Society conference. There was a lot of people from all over the world there. There was a woman whose workshop I wanted to go to, but it was the same time as mine. It happens. And so I approached her and I says, what are you dowsing when you've been dowsing all these patterns? She says, I'm looking for the relative strength of the pattern. I says, I had one come to me and I just would be so honored if you would, douse this pattern. So she dowsed it. Wow, it really winged out. And she says, this is the most potent pattern I ever dowsed. She says, what's the purpose of your labyrinth? And I says, well, we call it the relationship labyrinth. And she dowsed and she says, that's a very high purpose for your labyrinth, but there's something else. What is it? And I says, well, when it first happened, I call it the labyrinth of choice. And why not have choice represented in the free will universe? And she dowsed and she says, yes, that's the purpose of your labyrinth. She says it's a labyrinth of empowerment because so many people don't really realize that they have choice nowadays, and to present it symbolically is a powerful act. She says it'll help a lot of people.
That's pretty awesome. Is this the labyrinth of empowerment?
Yes, it is. And you see it's got two paths, two entrances, and symbolically it's just very rich. Yeah, very rich indeed.
Thank you so much.
I was asked to share my experience in our labyrinth this weekend. When it was finished, we were invited to walk it for the first time. And the only instruction we were given was to set our intention before we began. My intention was around a really big career move I just made. So I'm walking the labyrinth and I forgot about my intention, but suddenly I received this overwhelming tidal wave of affirmation that I am in the right place. And I say that because my whole career I've felt torn, this internal tug of war between this career that I've been gifted, I feel just so thankful to have, and abandoning ship and selling the farm and going into full-time volunteer and philanthropy work, either ministry or going back to school and into a helping skill or just anything and everything to do with community, because my passion is to learn and connect. I have felt like there was conflict between that and my profession. I'm in finance. I'm a mortgage advisor and mortgage lending. as I'm walking the labyrinth, I get this affirmation that this is my ministry. This is my helping skill. That all the love and light and help that I was infused with and that I bring to the table and that I bring of service is needed in my industry, and it's needed for my clients. And I just felt so encouraged that this is my ministry and this is where I'm supposed to be.
Step into the sun, wake up. Step into the sun, step into